23-year-old San Diego State football star Matt Araiza had the world and the NFL at his fingertips. Nicknamed the punt god, Araiza was drafted in the 6th round by the Buffalo Bills in 2022. But that all came crashing down when he was accused in the gang rape of a 17-year-old girl at an SDSU house party. Though these were just allegations, the Bills cut him from the team just days later. Prosecutors in the case declined to press charges. Matt was never charged. A series of video clips of the alleged gang rape do not show Araiza, as he was not even present during the incident. But apparently, none of that matters. Not the evidence, not the lack thereof, nothing. Because in this era of cancel culture and believe all women, an accusation is enough to ruin someone, their life, and their future. Joining me now to set the record straight is the man himself, former NFL punter, Matt Araiza. Matt, it's great to have you. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you for having me.
So I know that you have been trying desperately to set the record straight on this. And as we all know, in this era of cancel culture, it really doesn't matter anymore, or seemingly it doesn't matter what the truth is. Once there's an accusation, an allegation, then it seems like everything else doesn't matter from there on out. I want to get into the case itself. I want to start off with what exactly happened that night from your perspective. In your own words, please tell my audience what you'd like them to know.
Yeah, no, you're right. Nowadays, it's guilty until proven innocent, which has been a very interesting thing. But it was basically meant to be a celebration. We were doing great. We were about 6-0 at the time, coming off of a big win, and we hosted a party. It wasn't my house, which was another thing that was spread around. Never lived there, but again, when something's said in the media now, it's completely true. Yeah, it was a pretty simple kickback and everything, and people came who were uninvited, and decided to spread these horrible accusations about me and my teammates that pretty much caught fire all over social media and all over the country.
Yeah, so again, I want to go back to that night because these are all just allegations. Your other teammates, though they have been discussed, it's really you that's taken the brunt of this. And as we know now, you weren't even there when this alleged gang rape even happened. So you can't even be accused of that when you weren't there, although you were. But I want to go back because there's a lot surrounding this case and a lot that needs to be cleared up so people can get this timeline straight and accurate from your mouth without all the media speculation. You were at the party, right? You admitted that you had sex with this girl. You didn't know that she was 17. You thought that she was 18 and older. Is that correct from your perspective?
Absolutely, yeah. She looked me in the eyes, told me she was 18. We had a brief encounter. She was in control and capable the whole time, could have left, could have gone back to her friends at any moment. We eventually said bye to each other. I wasn't at the party much longer, ended up leaving, went home. Then everything else is on video. There was pretty much an hour encounter in the bedroom with her and a couple of other men that the video proves to be completely consensual, and the video proves that I was never there, and everyone that was a part of that will, if this goes to court, testify that I was never there, yet I was the orchestrator according to her attorney, which is a complete lie.
What came to your mind when these allegations first came out? Were you shocked? Did you have any indication that something like this might be coming down the pike?
I was shocked, but the writing was on the wall. I mean, the way people reacted to it, it was pretty clear to me that my career was coming to an end until I could prove everything. And at first, it's terrifying. It could have been a he said, she said thing. And thank God it's not. I don't know where I would be today if there wasn't video evidence from that night, from the night before, if there wasn't 35 witnesses who stepped forward and spoke to the police. I don't know what would be happening if all that didn't happen.
You're right. So though you were never charged, right, prosecutors didn't even bring a case because of that video evidence. They looked at it and said, hey, listen, we cannot prove here, we cannot assert here that this wasn't consensual based on the video evidence that was brought forward. Obviously, it didn't end there, though. I want to go now to when you found out from your team, from the Buffalo Bills, that they decided to cut you. What was the conversation around that? Did they say that was specifically because of these allegations, or how did that go down?
Yeah, absolutely. It wasn't for talent, which is a shock to me. Growing up my whole life wanting to be a pro athlete, The thought is if I'm good enough, I'll be able to have that career and play at that level. But that wasn't the case. I was cut because of these allegations. And look, I hold nothing against the Buffalo Bills. I wish things were handled differently, but they did treat me with respect, which I appreciate. It's just the climate of how things are now. Accusations bring so much hate to anyone who decides to stand by the accuser that they were kind of forced to cut me from the team.
So when you heard that they were cutting you from the team, did you say, hey, wait a second, let the facts come out. Let's make sure that you get the actual story. Let's see if there are even charges made. Did you say anything like maybe we should just take a beat and find out if this is true? Let me prove my innocence to you. Was there a conversation like that went down?
Of course, prior to me being cut for about a month, they were in on all of the information. I gave my attorney the green light to keep them in the loop and give them all of our witness statements, all of our evidence. And so they knew the truth, but the accusations were strong enough that they had to cut me.
That's why this is so frustrating, because prosecutors didn't charge you. Again, you weren't even there during this alleged gang rape. So the most that they could really get you for would be statutory rape, being that she was underage. But even then, you had multiple witnesses saying that she never said she was underage. She was at a college party. She said that she went to Grossmont, which is also a community college in the area. So there's a lot of doubt surrounding that. But there's still discussion, even to this day, about those statutory rape allegations and charges. Take me into that and tell me where that stands as of now and what the discussions are.
The law is very clear. It's not even close. If someone has a reasonable belief that someone is 18, it is not statutory rape. And this isn't even that. It's not even a reasonable belief. Looked me in the eyes, looked many other people that night in the eyes saying I'm 18, and it's on camera. She's on video saying she's 18. So it's not even relatively close.
You talk about in other interviews how all of this caused you to go into somewhat of a depression for 8 dark months. Take me through that time, what this was like for you, what was going through your head.
The hardest part for me was seeing what my family had to go through and seeing the hurt that they went through and seeing the death threats and threats of sexual violence against the women in my family. That was absolutely the hardest. But as more evidence began to make itself clear, we got good news every couple of weeks, and it was pretty clear early on that this would come to an end, that it would just take time.
Right. Well, after your career was basically already over at that point, I mean, it's nice to be out of litigation. It's nice to be legally in the clear for the most part. But when you lose something that you've worked your entire life for, I mean, the damage has been done. That's what's so frustrating. We're going to get into the cancel culture part of all this, but I know that you can't assume what this girl's motivation was behind all of this. Obviously, you're not in her mind, her brain. You don't know what she was thinking. But if you had to guess what she was thinking, why she would do this, what would you say her motivation was behind all of this? Because, I mean, it ruined really your career at this point, and she made accusations against others. She's on videotape showing that it was consensual, showing that she was participating. Afterwards, she accuses everybody. Why do you think she would do that?
I'm not sure. Like you said, I'm not in her mind, but a wild guess would be the shame of what happened. And possible financial gain. I mean, every civil lawsuit in the history of civil lawsuits is filed for money. You can't run from that fact.
Let's talk about that, because there's a lot of people that say, hey, listen, you could settle this civil case for about 50 grand, probably cost you a heck of a lot less than you're spending on attorney's fees at this moment and in the past. So why not just settle and make all this go away?
Like you previously said, the damage has been done. And if I was to settle, that would waive my right to countersue. So at this point, we're the heavy favorite, and continuing this any longer is going to be very damaging for them. So I'm not willing to settle.
I think that you will be the legal victor in all of this, but as we know, sometimes being the legal victor doesn't even matter. I'm going to bring up a case to you that you're probably familiar with, Trevor Bauer. Of course, the Major League Baseball player. Something very similar happened to him about a year and a half ago, right? Where he was accused. You've got a woman who says that she was assaulted. She goes to the hospital, all of this. And then after the fact, He is not charged. He goes through arbitration with the MLB. Then he's able to come back and play, but no teams want to touch him. And now he's playing in Japan, even though he was in large part the legal victor in his case. It really didn't seem to matter. Did you follow that case at all? And do you see the similarities between what happened to you?
I didn't follow that case too much, but it sounds, as you're describing it, pretty similar. That, like you said, just an accusation is enough. When a finger is pointed, the damage is done instantly. And that's kind of the world we live in today. That's why we need to learn as a society to hold off judgment and wait until anything is proven before we cripple someone's career, cripple their life. It doesn't matter to you now, but if it's a family member, it would. You would hope that a family member of yours would be treated as innocent until proven guilty. So we need to see it. We need to see it in a new light for sure.
Matt, do you think it even matters if all this comes out, you win the civil case, you countersue, obviously you have not been charged, the facts are on your side. Do you think that in some way there will always be a cloud that hangs over your head, that there will be a certain segment of this population that will hear your name and think that you are a rapist and a bad person?
For sure. The apology is never as loud as the accusation. But that's partially why I'm so grateful for you having me on the show, that there are people out there that are trying to make the apology as loud as the accusation.
Tell me what this has been like also for your family. You've mentioned them a couple of times, but I can't imagine what this would be like to be the parent of somebody as talented as you, who has stood by you as you've worked your way through athletics your entire life, then to go through this, have you really lose your dream, but on top of all of that, have your character called into question. Tell me how they're feeling about it, and tell me what it's been like for them.
For sure. It's heartbreaking. I have the best parents in the world, two very honorable, hardworking people, and to have their parenting in question has hurt us all. Me being an athlete has been a group effort. They supported me along the way. They were at every game growing up, funding things and giving me the opportunity really to get to where I got, and to have it ripped away the way it was has been heartbreaking for all of us.
Tell me what's next for you. I mean, you still have the talent. Obviously, you've gone through hell. You're on your way back. But do you have aspirations to play in the NFL? What's next for you professionally? And do you think those things are possible given the way that your name has been dragged through the mud at this point?
I do. In my heart, I believe I will get another shot at the NFL, and I'm looking forward to that, and I'm staying ready and just waiting for my name to be called.
Is there any part of you that has some frustration when you look at not only NFL, but major league sports, professional sports as a whole, and you see so many people in sports that get away with so much, that get away with domestic violence, get away with gun violence, they get away with a lot of things, right? And they're still playing, they get a headline, they get a little slap on the wrist, but by and large, they're still active in their sport. Is that frustrating for you at all to see maybe the double standard that's applied in certain situations?
It is. Yeah, I think this situation would have played out very differently if I was a quarterback. If I was an all-pro quarterback, I don't think I ever get cut. And if I did, I would have been back on a team quickly after the DA announced no charges, which for me is confusing because if this is about morals, then position or sport shouldn't matter. So, yeah, it is a little frustrating.
So explain that to me. Why do you think it would matter if you were a quarterback versus your position? What difference does that make in terms of cutting someone based on an accusation alone?
Because they have more value to their team. I mean, you can see that in the contracts. The top paid quarterbacks are paid 10 times as much as the top paid specialist. And look, that's how it is. They are more valuable to their teams. But if it's a question of losing your job, not for talent, but for morals, then it should be all the same. And I do not believe that has been my experience.
I guess that's also what's frustrating as somebody who's looking at this from media perspective as well. It's that all of these leagues, all of these professional sports entities, they want to be social justice warriors, right? They want to win in the court of public opinion, whether it's Manfred and what happened to Trevor Bauer or others. It seems like this is all for the public and not so much about truth. But then when you just said what you said about, hey, if I was a quarterback, this probably would have all gone away. It feels like this whole crusade for moral superiority in major league sports, professional sports, it feels like it's all kind of a facade. Do you feel that way at all?
I do, in part. I think that deep down, these organizations believe in truth. And I think they believe in facts and believe in evidence, but a lot of times their hands are tied behind their back, basically, and they have to make a decision based on public perception.
Last question I want to ask you is, obviously hindsight is 2020. I'm sure if you could change it, you would have never gone to that party, probably never would have gone to a party in your entire life if you could take this all back. But moving forward, how are you going to use this experience, whether your future is in the NFL or whether your future is in something else? How are you going to use this and shape the rest of your life based on everything that you've been through?
I think it's important to speak about it as much as possible and make sure young athletes know that you can lose your job even though you didn't do anything wrong. Just someone be able to accuse you of doing something wrong and not being able to immediately prove that without any question you did not do something wrong, that can cost you your career. So I think young athletes and professional athletes are in a very interesting position now where you have to live with an abundance of caution.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Now, I have been in this career for about 8 years now. I started when I was 21 years old, right? So I've learned something along my way because there's a lot of people that would love to see me fail, that would love to see me mess up. So I live by this, and I tell all of my friends that are in the spotlight or want to be, I tell them this very simple thing, and I'm sure you know it. Don't mess with anybody who has nothing to lose. That'll save you from a lot of problems on down the road, because there's a lot of people who don't have going on what you have going on, what I have going on, and they want to get a headline, they want to get a little pocket change, they want to get vengeance on somebody. They take joy in ruining somebody else's life. So never mess with anybody in any sense of the word that has nothing to lose. That is my advice. You know it well. But to anybody else, let's just spread the word, because I think that there are a lot of young people that could really learn something from that simple piece of advice.
Exactly. Yeah. If you have an ounce of success, someone else could be playing with house money. And basically, if they accuse you of something and bring it into civil court, they are playing with house money, because they can sue you for a lot more than you can ever sue them. And your reputation has a lot more to lose than theirs does. So yeah, it is a problem, and people in, the position of someone who makes money off of their image are in a very different situation now than they were 20, 30 years ago.
Absolutely. Well, and that's also talking about the video. I mean, it's helpful for you that there was a video, but in a lot of cases, these videos can be really damning for anybody, whether you're on one side or the other of the camera. So this is all just a very new world to navigate. But I appreciate you speaking out. There are so many people that get accused of things and then they just hide in the shadows and wait for everything to play out legally. But I think you're exactly right. You got to attack this head on. You got to get the truth out there, be loud and be vocal, because that's the only way you're going to have a fighting chance. So God bless you. We're all rooting for you. We all want to see your comeback tour. And thanks so much for taking the time today, Matt.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
God bless you.